Okay, everybody, joining me right now is Kerry Condon, which I'm so pumped about. She's currently Stacey Ehrmantraut in Better Call Saul. Kerry, how are you?
Hey, hello. I'm in Los Angeles. How are you?
I'm doing good. See, now, Kerry, you're probably shocking many people right now because if they watch you on Better Call Saul, they probably think you have an American accent, and you clearly do not. You are very Irish.
I hope they think I have an American accent when I'm on the show. Otherwise, I'm not doing my job properly. I'll be mortified.
No, and, you know, I wanted to have you on, Kerry, because I became such a big fan of you. I literally first saw you and became a fan of you in The Walking Dead. I am a crazy Walking Dead fan, and you were on the season 4 premiere, 30 Days Without an Accident, and you played Clara. And
yes,
that was when the show was really at its peak, and I was like, okay, who is this sketchy character that's appearing on this show to Rick in the middle of the woods? And that was you. You were this person, and I was like, wait a second, is this person someone I could be sympathetic towards, which I felt because you were this lost woman who had just lost her husband, it seemed like, or were you somebody that was gonna screw Rick and his gang over? How do you get into a state of mind for that kind of character where you're trying to play both ends to that?
Oh, I suppose I wasn't trying. I was only trying to play one end of it, which was like the truth, which was that she really did need his help.
Right.
And so I was just playing it off my truth, not what you were seeing, how I was being perceived by the audience. Like, in terms of Rick, was kind of irrelevant to me.
Okay.
It also helps that I hadn't seen The Walking Dead.
Really?
So I'd only seen the pilot for years when it had come out. I'd only seen it. So I knew he was a lead character, but I didn't really think about, the audience being with him or whatever. I just concentrated on this one man in the woods that looked kind of, that could help me. So
do you think it helped you that you hadn't watched Walking Dead, like, prior?
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I guess that's up for debate, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
So when you were doing that, it must have been an awesome experience working with Andrew Lincoln playing Rick, because I think he's one of the best actors I've seen. Did you feel like you took anything from being around him as an actress? Like, do you feel like you're learning from the actors and actresses around you?
Of course, you are all the time. Even if they're doing stuff that you don't think is a good idea, it's another way of learning too, like how to conduct yourself. Oh, he was just such a lovely guy, really. He was just a dream to work with. He was so considerate and really respectful. When we blocked the scene at the end, when she brings him back to the camp and she's about to go, let's go, the whole death scene and everything.
Yeah.
And like when we got to do that, all the crew were there and the director, everyone was kind of standing around. And I didn't know what I was going to do because, like, it was just one of those ones where it was just like, I'm just going to know in the moment, like, what I'm going to do.
Right.
And so I need to kind of have privacy to figure it out with you. And I just quietly asked him, would he mind if we could just block it by ourselves?
Wow.
And he asked the crew, he was so nice. He totally was like, guys, we need to, like, just have a bit of space to figure this out ourselves. Or whatever. Like, he was really nice to me. He didn't have to do that at all. So.
Oh, my God. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was lovely. It was a really nice experience. So it was easy to want him to trust her,
Sure.
Like he has kind face or something.
Yeah. And now, on that point you're making, when you get cast for a role like this, you don't get to previously rehearse this with Andrew Lincoln, right? Like, they kind of just throw you onto set and you're doing it there, right?
I'm trying to think, but I didn't have to do, thank Christ, I didn't have to do the death scene in my audition.
Right.
I think I just had to do, I can't even remember my audition for The Walking Dead.
No, yeah, that's a while ago.
I'm pretty sure I did audition for it. I'm sure I did. But anyway, so yeah, I can't, you don't get to rehearse. No, and television is fast too. They don't really have the time for a lot of that. So it's not that I doubted. I knew. It's just sometimes those heightened emotions.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really rehearse that.
Right.
I can't anyway. It's just like, just fucking do it.
Yeah, exactly. So, Kerry, what I ask you too is, you have your Irish accent in that role. So whose call is that? Like, when they cast you, do they say, hey, we want you to keep that Irish thing going? Or do they say, how does that decision even come about?
That's a really good question, and that highlights the importance of casting directors.
Right.
And casting directors, like, they don't get nominated in the Oscars. No. You don't really know of the role that they play in. Like, so it was this casting director called Sharon Bailey, the lady who cast for The Walking Dead. And she knew I was Irish, and she's known me because I would have auditioned for her over the years.
Okay.
And it was her idea to go, well, why couldn't she be from Ireland? She could be flying on a flight from Ireland as much as England.
Right.
Because initially they wanted an English accent. And she said, no, just do your Irish accent. So that was really her being just like super smart.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I
and
definitely...
nice, in my favor too, you know.
Sure. Yeah, and in that scene too, you're talking about with Rick, you know, bringing you back to the campsite, and then you find out that your husband had died, but you're still treating him like you're talking to his dead...
his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you're doing that, is it hard to get invested into that? Like, okay, I'm getting in this character and I'm believing that I believe he's still alive here, or is there a point where you're like, still yourself, like, I'm talking to a head right now? You know what I mean? Like, is that hard to get into that zone?
I know what you're saying, because it's such a surreal circumstance.
Sure.
And, you know, I totally get what you're saying. But I think I just, again, just thought it was the truth of it. I didn't think of how surreal it was. I just thought, like, you know, when you're very frail and, like, it's super, like, she's obviously been on her own for so long.
Yeah.
That, like, you kind of cling to something that makes you feel good, or that something about yourself that was old. And I just kind of saw his head, you know, as being that thing that you're just like clinging to,
right,
the past or whatever.
That's interesting.
It wasn't that hard, actually. I don't know. It wasn't that hard for me, to be honest.
Oh, that is awesome. And I could tell. I mean, you killed it, and like you enjoyed playing that role for sure. That was like one you really enjoyed.
It was great. I loved it because it was a beginning, middle, and end to that whole episode. Like, it was like a little play almost.
Oh, yeah.
To her character.
Sure.
And I loved it. It was very complete. Like, they began, and then their relationship evolved as they were chatting, going through the woods.
Yeah.
And then there was the end. So I loved it in that sense. It was very complete. It's so easy to sort of plan out how I was going to do it and everything.
You're right. But the only thing I didn't love was that you end up killing yourself at the end there. And I thought it was such a cool character. And I didn't see that coming. I was like, whoa, like, wow. And that's what I wanted to ask you. You know, she hints in the beginning to him, like, can you come back from the things you've done? Clara says to Rick. And then when, you know, she goes to Rick, just kill me at the end. He's like, why? You say, you don't get to come back. Do you think that's the main reason she killed herself, is that she couldn't handle maybe her husband dying, or was it like things she'd done? Like, that's what I was always wondering.
I think it was just more that, like, it was despair. Do you know, like, when, you know, sometimes, not that I'm the expert in people committing suicide or anything, but like, sometimes people are so down that really there's like something nice in ending it, and in the suit. And I think she needed to think it was all bleak and depressing, and you don't get to come back, to justify, you know, to stab yourself. Like, Jesus, you'd have to be fairly second down to do that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Now, what's crazy, Kerry, is, I don't know if people notice this Walking Dead, but your character comes back as a zombie, I think like 3 episodes, if I'm right. That you sneak in the shots.
A couple of episodes later, I can't remember how many, but yeah, there's a tiny, like, she's walking or something. I stand on top of the symbol. Was it a little toy or something?
Yes. And now I'm wondering, when you played that zombie, how long were you in makeup to put zombie makeup on?
Oh, I was in there for like the ages. I can't remember, but to be honest with you, I was having such a great time talking to the guy who was doing it and enjoying watching, like, how he was shading everything. And I wasn't bored or anything. I can't remember how long it was. It didn't seem that long to me. It's probably hours, though.
Yeah, you're having so much fun, right? That's awesome.
Exactly.
And I was going to say, too, I feel like with The Walking Dead, all these characters could have other spin-offs. Like, I feel like you could have a spin-off show on Clara, you know, like what happened with her husband.
She killed herself. There's nothing that could happen to her.
I'm saying,
over.
Like, before that, though, we want to know what she was talking about. What are the things she's done? You know what I mean? Like, I think you could do that. I don't know.
Oh, I think only the die-hard fans would know what the hell it was going on.
Yeah, you're right. Do you watch Walking Dead? Like, did you get into the show after that, or you just don't have the time? Like, how does that end up?
No, I don't. You know, I go through phases where I either am reading a load and not avoiding television completely, and I do that for months on end, and then I get tired of doing that, and then I go back to watching TV. So then when I go back to watching TV, I don't know, it'll be documentaries. Like, to get into a show that's been going on that many seasons, I'd have to start back and watch so many seasons. Like, the endeavour of it to me seems, oh God, I'd be watching telly for weeks.
Yeah, it's so much time. That's interesting. So, you know, it's crazy too, because you have the Irish accent in this one, in Walking Dead character, but then in Better Call Saul, I remember I was watching with my mom, and you first appear in episode 5 in Better Call Saul season 1, and you're just a mysterious woman driving in a car across from Mike. I'm like, okay, what's up with this lady? But I noticed the face. And then your prominence comes the next episode, which is my favorite episode of the show, 5-0, you know, Mike's backstory. So we really get introduced to Stacy, his daughter-in-law. And, you know, then we realized, okay, she's the mother to Kaylee. And when you started talking, I had recognized you from Walking Dead, and I was like, okay, here comes the Irish accent. And then I was like, whoa, that's American. Totally flipped a switch. And I thought you did incredible. Like, I forgot you were an Irish actress. And like, that was what I was going to ask. When you're doing American accents in any work you've done, where's the motivation? Like, where are you basing off your American accent?
Well, I suppose, first of all, I have to kind of figure out where the person is from in America.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's not different kind of not that I'm the big expert, but there is different. So I learned from somebody, a professional lady, a dialogue coach, who taught me a kind of a Midwest accent, like sort of, I was doing a job in New Mexico, like Albuquerque, and she helped me with it, and a dialogue that was kind of those sort of regions.
Right.
And then I did, you know, there's more like, you know, just a general accent, if there's such a thing of a general, but a general. So I just tried to figure out, you know, her backstory and where she was from, and start basing the accent off that. Okay,
so when you're doing that and you're Stacy, which you do amazing, I think it's my favorite character you play. My thing is when you do the American accent, when the camera's off, are you staying in the American accent?
Well, you see, that's the thing. Normally I do, yes.
Okay.
However, Better Call Saul is like, I'm not in every episode, so I go back, and then I have weeks where I'm not working. I mean, I can't be saying in an American accent all those weeks. It's exhausting. So I don't. And then when I go back to Albuquerque, I'm like, all right, come on, get it together now. Change it over and start doing a bit of work. Okay, so you're not doing like the Daniel Day-Lewis where you stay Stacy for weeks even when the show's not filming. No. Okay. I bet you my family would be on the phone. They'd be telling me to knock it off. They'd be like, stop talking like that.
Interesting.
It sounds weird.
That's interesting. Okay, that's very cool. Now, I wanted to say is I had a connection to these characters with Stacy and Clara from Walking Dead, where they're both widows, and they both have that kind of story where we go to that quote where can you come back from what you've done? Yeah, and my favorite scene in that episode with Mike's backstory is when you and him Stacy is sitting on the couch with Mike, and he's explained to her what really went down with her husband and how he had passed away. When she's like hinting that Mike basically killed her husband's partners, and then she's like, do you know what happened? And she knows when she's asking that what happened. She figured it out. And he's like, you know what happened. Question is, can you live with it? And the face you make after that is like this like shocking, don't know how to process it. And I'm wondering, when you were doing that role of Stacy, did you think at all of how you did Clara, where it was like another case of a widow has information they don't even know how to hold on to in a way? No, you know, that's funny. It's the first time since you pointed out, I've ever realized the comparisons, because to be honest, every time I finish a job, like, I really have to, I almost forget doing the job. It's just, I have to completely erase the whole thing from my mind and start with a kind of a blank slate again for the next thing. So it's rare that I would go back on previous characters and try and find, you know, a familiar sort of a feeling or a thread or whatever. But now that you say it, that is some kind of connection, right? Get onto something. That's a good one, yeah. Yeah, okay, I'm trying. Very good. But I didn't make the decision with Stacey in that scene when you said, like, her look at the end is, you know, she's processing it. Okay. I purposely didn't you're right in that. I was trying to convey that she's processing it. She hasn't really come to a conclusion. Sure. If she can, or like what is going, you know what I mean? So I left it open. I like that. And it must have been awesome working with Jonathan Banks. You guys had such a good chemistry. Like, it was such good acting with you guys that I feel like I forgot you guys are acting. I forgot I'm watching a show. You know, I feel like I'm there. And
oh, cool. Thank you.
And I just wonder, like, I've noticed that with all of Vince Gilligan's work, the writing is just top notch. I mean, when you get this script and you read it, are you getting that feeling right away? Like, oh my God, this is going to be good.
I do for all the other characters. But not really for my own character. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah. Okay, so is your character Stacy, can you tell me if she's going to be in season 3?
Yes, I'm already started filming season 3.
Okay, perfect. And with the filming of season 3, do you think it can live up to seasons 1 and 2 because they were so good?
You know what? I only read one script so far of season 3 because only of the episode that I'm in.
Okay.
And I sort of play ignorance on the stuff that the Chuck and them are, you know, the scenes they're in, sure. Chuck and Bob's character, because I watch that then when the show comes out, so I feel like I can kind of, you know, experience it like a viewer or whatever without knowing what's going to happen or whatever.
Do you like watching your own work? Do you watch it the night it is on? You know what I mean?
No. Do you know what? To be honest with you, like if I'm in the episode, I feel like I'm going to puke, and I just, you know. Yeah. I sometimes I'd have to stop watching the show and go like, oh, I'll get back to it eventually because, you know, I came into it and but I want to see it for the other stuff. So luckily I'm only in it like little bit.
Sure.
Otherwise, when I've been in a lead in something in a show, it's rare that I would watch it.
Interesting. Okay. And then also with Stacy, the thing I saw on message boards talking about your character for Better Call Saul was that they're like, you know, Stacy's not in Breaking Bad. So everyone's worried, like, okay, if she's not in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul is a prequel, what happens to Stacy? Because we see Kaylee with Mike. So that's like a big mystery I do want to see resolved for sure. That is something that people are worried about, you know?
Well, I tell you, the people who were worrying about it clearly didn't watch Breaking Bad correctly.
Oh, okay.
He does feature in it. When there's this, I don't know what season or what episode, but Mike is outside the house and he waves to Kaylee and her mom, and the mom is kind of far back in the distance. It wasn't me as an actress, it was a different person. And he references that it's her mother.
Wow. Oh my God. Okay, that's huge. That is huge.
Exactly. Because initially I was kind of thinking too, I was like, does Stacey get shot?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. No, and then it was Jonathan who plays Mike. He was like, God damn it, like I referenced you like in Breaking Bad.
Oh my God.
And I specifically said mom, and I was like, oh, I knew that.
Wow, that probably just went by me watching because you're not thinking of that. It's not significant to you yet. Now it would be. Now I'd catch it if I rewatch Breaking Bad. That's crazy. That's wow. Okay. Yeah, I thought something bad happened. I thought she got killed or something or like sent away. I don't know.
Maybe she'll get sent away and then she'll come back, sent away to a lunatic asylum.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now, Kerry, last one I want to talk about. It is awesome that you do Friday, the AI for Iron Man in Avengers Age of Ultron and Captain America Civil War. Now, that is one you do in the Irish accent. I need to know, when they cast you, they're like, okay, we want you to do the Irish AI voice, or like, how did that decision happen?
That was initially, I did American, English, and Irish. I did all three, and then they were to decide which one that they preferred the best.
And they're like,
and then they went with an Irish accent. So I was like, oh, sweet, that's going to be nice.
Yeah. Comfortable. Yeah, that's awesome.
But actually, it turned out to be kind of hard because initially, then when we started recording it, you know, they were like, "Don't do it too strong," and I was like, "Yeah, sure, you don't like. I'm not going to distract, you know, and pull people out from the experience or whatever. Obviously, like just keep a kind of a somewhat neutral Irish accent."
Sure.
Got it. And then as it went on and on, they were like, "Be more yourself. Just say it. Well, how would you say it? Just say it exactly how you'd say it." I'm thinking, "Are you sure? I don't know if everyone's going to understand me."
Yeah. Okay. So when you're doing that and they're saying that to you, you're in a recording studio, right?
Yeah.
How does that process work?
Of course, like you have to play around with directions, you know, go for them, even if you, and then sometimes then they'll go, okay, no, take it back and maybe say it this way or say it that way. Like you have to be very flexible and play around with it, and then they can decide at the end which, you know, options that they want to use. So it's kind of liberating in a way. You just kind of offer up a load of ideas and then they just pick.
So when you're talking to Iron Man or Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Tony Stark, is he recording his lines first, or are you? Are you hearing his lines when you're saying them?
Yeah, he's already recorded his because I get to watch the picture, you know, when I'm doing it. I get to see it on the screen, like where my voice is coming and at what point in the movie.
You're awesome as that, too. And Kerry, I did want to ask you, I've seen on your Instagram that you are a pet lover, and I wanted to ask you if you have any pets and what the deal's with that.
I love pets. I want to have a big farm with loads of them.
Okay. And
I have a little dog, a Jack Russell, and I have 2 horses.
2 horses. Do you ride the horses, or you just have them as like, you know?
No, I ride them. One of them, I adopted him from, you know, I did a TV show about horse racing on HBO called Luck, and when I finished that job, I adopted one of the horses that worked on the job with me. Oh my gosh,
that's incredible.
Yeah, he's so cute.
Now,
oh my God, he's so cute.
Do you have these horses in the States or in Ireland? Like, where do you specifically?
No, they're in the States. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Like, I ride them when I'm not working and take care of them. I love the chores and the whole lot of nurturing animals. I love it.
That's amazing.
It's a lovely thing to do with your free time, you know?
That is the life, Kerry. I'm impressed. I wish I had horses, but I'm in cold New York right now, and I'm actually recording this podcast in my basement. It's freezing in here right now, but I'm jealous that you're in LA.
It's freezing already. I suppose it's November. It's bad. Yeah. It's good if it's cold, right? That means it's like the truth, what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you're right. As we wrap this up, are there any words of inspiration you would give to any aspiring female actresses in this specific industry right now? Because there is so much media out there, and it seems more competitive to me from looking on the outside. Do you feel that way? Like, what would you say to maybe a female actress upcoming that's getting discouraged, like, with the industry?
Okay, well, I suppose it depends on what type of actress I'm talking to. Mm-hmm. Like, if you want to be an actress because like you just want to act and you want to do plays and you want to do different people and all the sort of discipline and work that comes with this, there's one, you know, advice. And then if you're just interested in basically being famous and making lots of money, there's obviously different advice. So I would suppose you could sort of identify your motivation behind why you want to be an actress.
Interesting.
Maybe that's probably the first thing you should do, in case it's rooted in something that's probably not good for you or something. And then what other advice I would give? I suppose I'd say if you're prepared to be extremely lonely for most of your life, go ahead with it.
Oh, all right. There we go. So that's really funny. Yeah, I could say that too
because
about
it's a lot in your head.
Sure.
You know, it's all in your head, and like, you know, there's a lot of traveling involved.
Yeah.
You're constantly away from home.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Even if you're away from home and you live away from your parents anyways, you're just always like disassociated from your familiar surroundings. So that's quite difficult all the time. And then, you know, you have to be, there's periods when you're not working where, you know, it's hard to mentally stay like okay and not get bitter or jealous or blame people or, you know, become a sort of a negative person. So there's all sorts of challenges, and that's not even talking about the actual doing of it.
Yeah, right.
Kind of waiting around.
Right. That's just all on the outside. Yeah, that's a wild way to look at it. That's awesome perspective. Yeah, and I was going to ask
Would you like to be an actor?
I have tried the background acting gig before.
And?
It was cool and stuff, but I got discouraged. I have to say, I started, you know, I went into radio because like I thought, I don't know if I can do the acting. There's some people doing it. There's some people doing radio too, but like, I think I just got discouraged, honestly, because like a lot of people, when you try to do anything that's like in the entertainment industry, I feel like talk you down. You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, that's not a real job or this and that. And it's like, I think people got to my head, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. I don't like when people discourage somebody.
Yeah.
I don't think that's very nice because like everyone discouraged me from being an actress.
Sure,
you know?
Sure.
So if I was to have listened to them, but I love the radio. I said go for the radio. I love radio personality and the whole talk radio. It's great.
Oh, thank you. Good. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I'm trying to like transfer now to YouTube and like I want to do stuff like that. Like you're the first big interview on this show, Stevie TV, and I'm excited about it. I'm so happy you came on. It's so nice of you to do this. I'm a huge fan of yours. Thank you. This is like a dream come true for me. And
thanks a million.
Yes, and I wanted to know if there's anything you wanted to promote or anything you're currently working on that we can plug for you.
Well, I'd be better called Saul Season 3 is what I'm working on. Then I started film in Portland, but if you can't even plug that now, because by the time it comes out, it's going to be a year. Everyone's attention span is like, what, 3 minutes now or something?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Thanks, though.
Kerry, thank you so much for joining me, and I'd love to have you on again.
Okay, take care. Lots of love.